their business. And so they're going to, each business is going to be its own island.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he has the expertise in this field, so, why not? He's been doing it for years. All right, how do you think how has Jim Sharp purchased this venture? What are the implications of this financing structure? We have some thoughts on how he financed it.
Yeah, I thought that it was interesting that he just went kind of straight to the bank. He wanted to be 100% owner. He didn't want anybody else in there with him. He didn't want to try to find a partner to go 50-50. He didn't want to try any venture capitalism. He wanted to do it himself. And I mean, that's fine. It's just an interesting way to go. Partners can bring complications, I feel like.
Yeah.
But you can be worse off without them too.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought he definitely took on a lot of risk by himself. I mean, he took $700 to the seller, and then a bunch of money to the bank based off of their assets, and then the rotating credit. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he took on a lot of risk at once. Not that it's wrong to do that, as long as he stays profitable. It's just within those first 6 years, if anything goes wrong, he could have some major problems.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so I have a question for that. He said he had $150,000 cash, which was nothing. He said it was very little money. Mm-hmm. And then this company was $2 million that the owner wanted. And so I'm going, okay, if $150,000 is nothing, $2 million, but that, and he said it wasn't worth it, but he gave that to him anyways. So.
Yeah, it was interesting. I thought some of what the seller wanted in a lot of ways, all the protection that he was trying to get was interesting. It kind of makes me think there's something sketchy going on behind the scenes, Mm-hmm. Like, does he think it's going to fail in the future? Like, he's not going to be able to pay off his debt, or?
Yeah, I'd never heard about a seller's note before this, and so that was interesting to learn about what a seller's note was. Yeah. I looked that up and did a little bit of research on that.
Yeah. Can you explain that a little bit more to me? Because I probably didn't do that research. All I know is he's paying him back the money.
So the seller's note, from what I understood, is just that it's like a loan given by the seller that a certain stipulation has to be paid off within a certain time period.
Yeah.
So maybe I don't understand it much more than you, but yeah, I thought that it's interesting that sellers can actually give loans when you buy their company.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like what you can do with a house. You can do that with a house where you can sell your home, but just accept payments from somebody until it's paid off instead of having to go through a bank. So the same kind of, I would imagine, the same kind of thing. So he retains some ownership in the company until he's paid off at the end of 6 years. Mm-hmm. So that was interesting. All right, so what should Jim Sharp do on his first day as owner?
Well, before you go to the next question, I was going to say that was the seller's note. What I got out of that was that he wanted that for security on how to be paid back. And also that's where it would be included that you couldn't compete, a no compete for how many years, all of that, those details that wouldn't be in the contract that your purchase agreement. So it gives them a lot of security to have something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so what do you guys think he should do then with all these problems?
I don't know where he should start, but
kind of how I guess I looked at it, and I kind of changed after I used the spreadsheet to kind of do some analysis. But I think he's got to invest. I think he's got to try to stay out of more debt. I know he's got the revolving debt in the bank, the line of credit, but I would avoid going into any more debt just in case. So I said that he should take out $50,000 the first year and put that towards, so it'd only be $10,000 more, and put that towards, and split the investment towards improving the building, the $100,000 in 2 years, and then wait till he, what? Go ahead.
Can you explain 50? You said he'll take out 50 the first year.
Well, because he's got to do $100,000 worth of repairs. So I kind of just thought, do $50,000 worth the first year, and then do 50,000 worth the second year.
Okay.
Because, he needs to grow. So his growth structure is 15, 10, then 6, 6, 6. So he's got to hit 15 somehow. And he said that he thought fixing the building, making it look better would help that growth.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought maybe fix the building, and then, it said this machine broke down occasionally. It didn't say it broke down all the time. So I said, as long as it doesn't break down, then don't buy a new machine. But if it does break down, then it's no point to fix it. It costs $200,000 to fix. You might as well just buy a new one for $250,000.
Yeah.
So, so as long as it doesn't break down, wait till year 7 to buy it. Buy it in year 7 when you don't have any more debt to pay off, and buy it straight out with cash. And then, you're moving in debt free. So that's kind of how I went about what he should do. So I thought, priorities first is get growth of the company, make your company look nice, make it look good as long as the machine's still working. And then wait till you're out of debt. I guess that kind of answers 3 and 4.
Yeah. I like that response. I feel like he could boost I don't know if you say boost the morale or just the employees. I think they would have a better attitude having nicer things and making some improvements, or showing that he wants to make improvements, even if it's only $50,000 to the building. Yeah. I think that would say something to the employees, like, hey, we're going to make this better. We're going to start here, and then each year we're going to do a little bit. And then I think probably wants to explain to him on his first day what his vision is, because hopefully he's established a vision, or hopefully he's established a plan. Yeah. So that he can explain that to them. Hopefully he's not just going to go into this blindly. Yeah. Decide from day one, but maybe he is.
Yeah, and I think it's important too that when he goes about all this, that he also gets rid of that labor union. I think there's 20 or 40 people, and maybe he can't just say, okay, we're done with the union, but he can hire people that aren't part of the union over time. So I think that's also got to be a priority, because having to take every 3 years, having to take 6 weeks off for everyone to strike.
Can you explain unions a little bit to me?
Yeah, so it's just basically like, the employees that belong to a union, and then the union legally defends them in their rights. So say that, like, after 3 years, they come back and they want to do employee negotiations. So they always come back and say, well, this, 3 years ago they made $15 an hour. Now we want them to make $20 an hour, and we want them to have these increased benefits, and we want them to work less. So then they battle, and and then the employees strike, and they don't work during this time to kind of force the employer to pay them more. So I think he could do a lot in saying, let's get rid of this union, and I'll just give you raises. Because it would be better for him to just pay out some more money every 3 years rather than having to go through this process. And the unions always push for way too high of wages and hours. It's crazy. So I think getting rid of the union, there already is 20 to 40 people that don't want it. I don't know how many people are in the company, but I think he's got to phase it out and get rid of it.
Yeah, that's smart.
Because if he had a union strike within the first 2 years and had to stop for 6 months, he could lose a lot of money. Maybe later on in the company it wouldn't be as big of a deal, but while he's trying to pay all this debt off, I don't think he can stand to have that happen.
Yeah, that's something that could require time. I guess he could just get rid of all of them, but that might not be the wisest decision. But if he slowly did it and slowly brought in people who weren't part of it.
Yeah. And he said it's a weak union anyways, so it probably wouldn't be too hard to get rid of it.
Well, and I thought it was really, I've made a little frowny face on this note that he made the rules as he went. He didn't really follow the rules of the union anyways.
Yeah. The prior boss, you mean?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it kind of shows lack of, care on their part.
Right. And this is the company that he was not allowed to talk to the employees beforehand, right? And the owner just walked away. Surprised everybody.
Well, yeah, but you're not, it was partially because you don't want to talk to people and lose potential clients. So like, oh, there's a change in ownership. We've always been loyal to so-and-so, so we're going to take our business somewhere else. So I think that was more the reason. But maybe not. I don't know. Maybe he's trying to hide something.
Well, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess that's just an assumption we have to make. But I think for the first 2 or 3 years, it's going to be a lot of risk involved in this company.
Yeah. Which is another good reason to not go into more debt than he has to.
Yeah. I think he's got the ability. And so I guess for question 5, did Jim make the right decision? And we're supposed to take a vote. Hold on, let me. Oh, I forgot to start my timer. No. I don't know why there's no way to like see how much time has passed. Let's see here. I should hold like a sign or something that says vote. That's what I'm gonna do, so I can see it in my own video. Hold on. Okay, this says vote. All right. Okay, so I think he did make the right decision. I think it was a good business to purchase. I think there's some problems, but we don't really know about any of the other businesses, so we don't really have a choice. But I think it was a good decision.
Yeah, I agree with you. After looking at the spreadsheet and after looking at, what the company can potentially do, because they had some really good years in the past. And if he takes control and takes leadership and responsibility, I think that he can make this work. It will take work, yeah. And I think that it'll be risky, like you were saying. And he'll have to be careful in the first few years up until he gets it. Maybe the union disappears or whatever out of the company. Yeah. But I think it'll work.
Okay. What do you think, Susan?
I think I can agree with that. It all depends on how much energy and effort he wants to put into this business. And it sounds like he did enough research that he would, of course, it's going to be the right decision if that's what he wanted to do. So that's why he went forth and did it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree. He's got lots of experience, and I think he can turn it around. Okay, let me go to the restroom real quick.
Okay.
I'll start the Brentwood case.
These cases were interesting, huh, Susan?
Yeah, I spent so much time reading and studying because I didn't know any of this stuff and how many different ways to buy, people who finance. I'm learning so much, but it's a lot to take in and it's a lot of study time.
Yeah, it is.
All day long studying one case, and I'm just thinking, okay, well, what have I learned here, and how am I going to use this in my life? There's a lot of information.
Mm-hmm.
So, there was one thing that I didn't understand. Well, I wrote that I didn't think it was smart to raise price. Another way to optimize margins was to raise prices during recessionary or tough times. I thought, why would somebody do that? That doesn't seem smart at all.
Oh, are you talking the Brentwood and Associates case?
No, this one is.
No, this is fair. It's talking about one of his past experiences. I think that it's because your total revenue is going down, so you have to have a way to keep your margins.
Oh, yeah.
So by keeping margins and to keep your revenue up, you raise prices. And it's not so much of a thing, that seems counterintuitive, but people are going to pay the price no matter what because you're offering a product that they need. And everyone's going to do it. So, you think, it's a recession, everyone should lower their prices. Well, that's not how it works because less people are buying, so the people that are buying have to pay a higher price.
Interesting. So the other question I had about that case was he talked about leverage buyout and how it was just customary to get in all of this debt and then just declare bankruptcy. And that's why this guy wanted to have the seller's note so that he was protected against that happening. I just meant that sounds criminal to me to plan to go bankrupt if things don't go well.
Of course it is.
So
there's a lot of laws on the bankruptcy, but they can do a chapter. Was it a chapter 11 where they get rid of a lot of debt and then they reorganize that debt and make smaller payments. So people do that. It is possible to rack up a bunch of debt and then just declare bankruptcy. But there's a lot of laws stipulating and not allowing you to do that. Okay. All right. So on the Brentwood case. All right. What?
This one's a little bit longer. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, it is. Okay. So it says, put yourself in the shoes of Brentwood Associate Management. You must decide whether you or not you will exit Zoe's. I don't know how that's really. It's not spelled like that in the case. I think it's Zoe's Kitchen now. And if so, what is the best exit option? As a group, vote what should Brentwood do with Zoe's Kitchen? IPO now, sell to a strategic buyer, financial buyer, or wait and grow the business until it is more valuable before exiting. All right, so we'll do another vote. Hold on, let me hold my vote sign here. Okay.
So, because I want you guys to know that because of the last discussions we've had, I chose to wait and grow the business until it's more valuable before exiting, because it's doing really well.
Yeah, I vote the same.
Yeah, I thought that the IPO was just an interesting concept to do, and the employees were on board with that.
Yeah,
we talked about it, and everybody was on board with that because they said that it would help the company go more public and get more, I guess, be noticed by more people. And I think that in the end, the IPO would help the company grow and expand to like all the states, because it was kind of just in the southeastern area of the United States, a lot in Texas. I saw on that map. So that's what I was thinking. Yeah,
and so I think I went with the wait and grow. And then, I mean, they're going to wait and grow and then do an IPO like 3 years from then.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of like with the IPOs, it's hard. Like if you're not, so you do this underwriting through a bank, right? And so say you don't get to set your share price. So your share is going to come out, and then depending on how people buy it is what it is. So it could come out and be worth 50 cents, or it could come out and be worth $100. So, if it comes out as $100 a share, then you're doing great. But if it's worth 50 cents and it's practically failed, and you ruined your chance at an IPO.
Okay.
So there are it's kind of like, it's a big gamble, really. So either it can be really, really successful or be a complete flop, Mm-hmm. So I do agree that they should do an IPO, but I think that they need to get a little more notice in the world before they go out and do one. Like they said, the Noodles and Company did one, but they were double the revenue of those at the time.
Okay.
So that's kind of what I thought. And that was kind of the reason I picked the wait and grow. I think the IPO now is fine too. I think it's an option. It's just if I was the Brentwood guy, I would wait just because I'd be scared to have a flop like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it could be completely the opposite and be a really great decision. So, you never know. Okay, so we got 1 for IPO now and then 2 for wait and grow. All right. Okay.
You just kind of answered number 4 in the ulterior for an IPO. So we can all come up with a hybrid of doing both. Wait and grow and then do the IPO in a few years. I like that idea.
Yeah. All right, I guess this is going to be that long. We'll skip to 5 then. How much is those worth under each exit option? Discuss with each other how you got your answers. As a group, come with a consensus as to what Zoe's is worth. Oh, man.
Huh.
I don't know we're supposed to do this. Well, it said that earlier companies have been worth, was a pub company, a gastropub was worth 20 times earnings before interest. So let's see here. What was there? Did you guys look through is there that's Noodles and Companies. Is there not a financial sheet for the company?
At the Exhibit 7, there's financial sheets.
For Noodles and Company, though.
Yeah.
That's what I don't get. Oh, and Zoe's Kitchen. Sorry.
Yeah, it's on the right.
Okay, so let's do like a 15. This kind of seems that 10 to 20 is kind of normal, 10 to 20 times EBIT. So let's do 15. 20 being the high side, and because if we don't wait and grow.
Are you doing the adjusted EBI? No. Which one are you?
Adjusted EBI, earnings before interest and tax, DA, whatever that means. But that's what we'll do. And so we'll do 10,0899 times 15. So it'd be worth 100 and, right? Because these are all in.
Yeah, these should be millions, right?
They're millions. So it'd be 163 million. So saying that's what the company would be worth, which is probably pretty accurate. If that's, talking millions, how much does it have in revenue? At 115 million in revenue, 16 million in revenues. So
it's interesting that they're asking us to do that on the Brentwood Associates case instead of the Sharp case, because that's the one we have to fill out with the financials.
Yeah, well, that's not really, that case isn't really so much about what the company's worth. He's already paid for it. So, I mean, this one is more about what are they going to get when he's thinking about, should I sell the company now or not? And so, and if I do, what am I going to get?
Right.
So, I mean, it's kind of depending on whatever revenue multiplier they get. So that's kind of how they do valuations, depending on how the company is. Are we going to give them a 20 multiplier or a 15 multiplier, 10 multiplier? So let's see.
We did 15, right?
Yeah, we did a 15. So you could do we could do a 10 or a 20.
Yeah, it just changes it.
I mean, the thing that I think is really great about Zoe's is that they're growing without having to build new stores, So it shows that more customers are coming to the same store every year.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not having to put stores every possible place so they can get growth. So even with the stores they have, they're still growing, which I think shows a lot of ability for success. And obviously $160 million wouldn't be bad.
Mm-hmm.
Although they plan to do 40 more this year. So
yeah.
I think because they grew fast, and so I think they're going to still grow fast again.
Yeah, I think so too. And especially, I think, it's kind of like a Mediterranean casual dining, and it's in the South. I think that dining does especially well, like in the West, on the West Coast. So I think they'll have even more success as they go to the West Coast, like to Washington, California. People like a place that kind of feels like you're in a restaurant, but you're not, and it's quick. So, like Noodles and Company's done really well in Washington, where I live. So, okay. So why would anyone sell to a financial buyer instead of IPO?
Wait, where's that question?
It's the second one under 5.
My numbers are.
IPO is risky.
Yeah.
Like you were just explaining. I mean, you can either go in and get a lot for your shares, or you can get nothing. And if you get nothing, then you're done for.
Yeah, and it's kind of like the difference between, do I buy bonds or do I buy a stock? Bonds being the financial buyer, so it's secure. You might not get as much money, but you're going to get money.
Mm-hmm.
And the IPO, you might lose a bunch, but you might gain a bunch also.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you could sell now, I think I would prefer doing a financial buyer. But if you can grow a little bit more in the next 3 years, I prefer an IPO.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I guess that's it.
Sweet.
Oh, you did.
Anybody have any final comments or questions?
So, let's just, that last question, why would anyone sell to a financial buyer instead of an IPO?
Yeah.
So is that kind of the same premise of us talking about waiting for 3 years? If that's the reason?
Yeah, it's just the financial buyer is more secure. You're going to get whatever their valuation is. And in an IPO, you don't really know what you're going to get. You can kind of project what you're going to get, but you don't know what you're going to get.
Okay, so a financial buyer is more secure. It's less risky.
Yeah, it's less risky because it's like you're selling it. Someone's going to say, "Hey, I want that for $20." Okay, here it is. Rather than putting it on auction on eBay. That's kind of the best analogy I can get. So you might not get $20. You might end up getting $10.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
So, or you might get $150. So there's a huge upside of it.
Right.
But it happens many times where people have flopped IPOs and they go out of business because of that.
So I wonder if you can discuss with the bank before going public, if you can talk with the financial institution and find out what they're thinking they would price it as.
Yeah, I mean, and that always happens. That's what that's like what Goldman Sachs does, or these investment banks. That's what their whole purpose is. They prepare everything. You do road shows, you do all these different processes. But basically, it starts out at a certain price, and then depending on how people buy it is how it goes. So if a lot of people are buying it, price is going to go up. If no one's buying it, it's going to plummet. So I mean, they always have projections of what they can make. That's always going to happen, but it doesn't always work that way.
So.
Anyways, any other questions?
I don't think so.
All right.
I'm okay. Thanks for your help.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Halfway done.
Sure is a lot to learn.
Pretty cool.
All
a
right.
lot to Okay, so next meeting is Tuesday at 11:30.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right. That's what we're doing earlier next week. That's right. Okay. Yep.
Tuesday at 11:30.
And you're going to record it, but I'll be in charge of the questions.
Sure. Yep.
So you'll invite us again, just like today.
Yep.
Just got to get it on the weekend. Get that all read up.
All right. All right. Thanks, guys.
Have a good one.
We'll see you. You too.
See ya.